Welcome to Social Workers Break Room. This is Imelda.
And I'm Jennifer.
And today we bring you journalism around the world, cultural implications of podcast and broadcasting.
This week, we connected with journalists from around the world via Zoom to explore journalism and media in the new millennium. Stay with us. All right. We are excited to have with us today a delegation of international journalists and media professionals. These participants are invited by the International Visitor Leadership Program of the U.S. Department of State. Meridian International Center arranged their program and hosted by Global Ties Arizona.
Welcome, everyone. We are very excited to share time with you today. Thank you for joining us and for sharing a little bit of your day with us and your expertise as well. We have a few questions that will help us guide our conversation and to help us make sure that we capture your important individual perspectives. If you will please start your responses with your name and the country you are from. All right, we're going to get ahead started. And our first question, and whoever wants to answer this one, our first question is, while not unbiased, the U.S. has relatively free media to be able to distribute content. What have been some of the challenges with being able to distribute news or your expertise?
Hi, I'm Oana. I'm based in Bucharest, Romania. I've been a journalist for 17 years. I work for public service media, where I run the online department. I've been working here for 10 years now. At first, I started as a news reporter. Before working here, I've worked in several newsrooms in Bucharest, including a news agency and a central daily newspaper. So I've also been a freelancer for about 2 years. So overall, I have a general image of the Romanian media scenery, and I've lived some of its ups and downs. Romania is a member of the European Union, so it basically guarantees freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean there aren't any problems in the media. So it happened to me in the past to face pressures, to face censorship from owners of newspapers. But the good news is this didn't happen within the public broadcaster I work for now. So I would say one big advantage of working for public service media is the freedom we get. There's no pressure, no censorship whatsoever. Well, that doesn't mean we don't face challenges. You know, we all know there's no absolute freedom. So I'm facing other types of challenges here. The biggest one right now is the enormous bureaucracy. So being a public organization, being financed with public money, it means a lot of bureaucracy, and it's really hard to change things within it. My focus right now is to help the organization make a transition from a traditional media one, where television is a priority, to a more digital one. But this is easier said than done. And another challenge I'm facing also is a lack of resources. I think this is general all over the world, lack of technology, lack of budgets, too few people. So in a nutshell, I would say the media scenery might be similar to what Trish from Kenya has to tell you next.
Thank you, Oana. My name is Trish Sewe. I'm coming from Kenya. And I think sharing from currently where I sit, I work for an organization that's conservation-based organization. So I'll share my experience both from working in a nonprofit and also at the beginning, early career when I was still a journalist. And so because as an organization, we work on highlighting stories about local conservation heroes, the biggest challenge we have with this particular issue that we are talking about today is getting that platform to shine light on the local conservation heroes widely. So a lot of times you find that you'd like to distribute news or celebrate amazing work that people are doing in conservation, but it's not picked quickly. You find that more of crisis gets center stage attention. You find that when successes and amazing things happen and the resilience of people on the ground, those tend to be overlooked. And so here we find that a lot of heroes are celebrated outside the country more than locally, because that doesn't become a top priority of news that you want to share with everybody. The other challenge, like Juana says, is that with news, depending on the ownership, is it a state broadcaster? Is it a privately owned news station? The challenges are that there's still some control. In as much as we say there's freedom for press, there's a lot of challenges that we have when you tend to want to share facts and issues. You get hurdles, and with those hurdles, you are either gagged in terms of you cannot speak. And sometimes it's the reasons that are given is that this is a matter of security. So you cannot go ahead and say what you want to say, even though you'd like the people to be able to receive the news as is. And so that leaves an open speculation, and then a lot of mistrust, because people are not getting the information that they want. And in my early career, when I just finished college and was a news reporter writing for local newspapers, that was a big challenge, that sometimes you'd even get into trouble when you publish certain stories. And so because of that, you have those limits. And that was a challenge.
All right. So moving to our second question, which Sanal was great enough to already put in the chat for us, is, we are primarily an audio platform. So, some of you practice in television, some of you practice in maybe radio or print. What do you notice about your storytelling or the way that you convey messages when you don't have visual media available? What kind of changes about how you approach giving that information?
Juana from Romania, from the public broadcaster in Romania. Everything is visual in a TV station. So we mostly work with visuals, with image. In ours, most of the content is first aired and then distributed online without much change to it. So this is a big problem for us at the moment. It's far from the ideal situation. TV content should go through a different editing process to be good for online channels. We all know videos should be shorter, much more engaging, catchy. Unfortunately, this doesn't happen in our news station right now. So I'm hoping the next time we meet, I'll have good news on that. And I hope we'll be much more impactful online also.
Hi, this is Trish from Wildlife Direct, Nairobi, Kenya. I think for us, the way we see this changing, as Juana says, everything is visual when you're working for a TV station. But as an organization, a nonprofit conservation organization, we do a lot of our reporting on wildlife crime through print. So we produce reports on what does law enforcement, how does law enforcement handle wildlife crime in Kenya? And we do that through print. We also are using television, where we are creating documentaries, and we create popular television series about local conservation heroes and heroines and the wildlife that they are saving. But what I see coming up more powerfully right now is the agency and the ownership of the people who are living the stories that you tell, having more of a voice, whether it's through audio, whether it's through their personal stories that are being put out there, and having more of that happening right now rather than being more of somebody else telling their stories. And that is something that we are advocating for in Kenya.
That is so powerful. It puts back the power to the people and the people who are experiencing the issue. I'm so excited to hear that. I know that I want to touch base on it quickly on how it is still a challenge for some media outlets to transition their content from a regular TV and printed media to a social platform or social media. Like videos might be too long, or the content just doesn't really translate to the short attention span of social media the social media users have. So, and we can continue talking about this, as our conversation progresses, but I think this will be a good time to introduce our next question, which is with the rapid growth of social media and diverse media outlets like podcasting, do you think more traditional media such as TV and radio will need to adjust to reach the consumers in other ways? And what are some of those challenges or changes that you think need to happen for more traditional news outlets to meet the needs of the community?
Oana from Romania's public service media. I'm more than convinced that traditional media, and I work for a very traditional organization right now, has to adapt really fast to nowadays world and technology, or it will just keep losing audience and have less and less impact in society, and that's a pity. People's expectations have changed completely. They want to consume whatever they feel like, whenever they want, and on what device they choose. So it's less and less people turning on the TV for the evening news. Most of the people get them online in real time. Plus recent crises like the COVID have just increased the pace of change in the use of technology. So it's a pity we weren't able to keep up the pace. And it's really clear to me that if we fail to do it now, this year, next year, we'll be on a losing streak.
Trish from Nairobi, Kenya. I think that it's inevitable that traditional media has to pick up the pace and be able to adopt to the times. And one of the things that I see here in Kenya is that a lot of radio and TV stations also have invested in the digital platform. And so there's social media, there's Instagram platforms, there's Twitter, which a lot of Kenyans use to get news real time, as Juana says. And one of the things that we as an organization are doing to share the stories that we are producing, the wildlife documentary series that we produce, such as Wildlife Warriors, we broadcast it on television. And so this is a traditional media, but we are actively using social media. We're using Facebook and we're using Twitter and Instagram to promote those TV series and those episodes every week. And so we drive traffic to TV through our social media, and we do small promotions of promotional videos about what's coming up. So you get a snippet and you get excited about wanting to go and watch it. And we also engage people through quizzes. We ask questions and people answer them. And we also have that after watching, we are able to go back to social media and say thank you to you, and also organize just a conversation between the heroes who are featured on TV, on social media, or just having community meet with them. And so marrying those two between traditional media and the digital platform, social media, helps to put everything easily accessible for everybody. And so working together makes it even much more better. So if you're in traditional media and you don't keep up with social media, you're going to lose a lot of your audience, because everybody has a phone now or want to get news and information firsthand. People are not going to wait for a whole week to see your episode. They want to see, what are you planning now? And that's the only way to go. People have to adjust to be able to keep up with the consumers.
Yeah, I was just mentioning how Trish mentioned how they use a short clips of the videos that they're going to have on their platform or on the news. This is a very effective tool that we also use. We actually started using it in this season for our podcast. We do, what do they call them? Sound bites, where we're able to take maybe like 15-30-second max about something powerful or impactful that was said during our episode, or one of our guest speakers said, and then we posted on social media. So it generates a lot of engagement, because people, if they hear 15 seconds or 30 seconds of what the conversation looks like, they get engaged and they're like, oh wait, I want to hear more about this, and they're more likely to go into the site. So that's I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something that we also started just using recently, and is we're evolving and changing to reach our audience where they're at.
I know we don't have a ton of time left, but with the time that we do have, and the brilliant humans that we have here, I'm wondering if there's anything else you'd either like to ask or you'd like to share about journalism and broadcasting and media where you are now. Maybe what you see in the US or what you hope to be the changes in the future.
Juana from Romania. I really appreciate programs like the one we're in right now. It's a great opportunity to meet people and connect with people. And I'm really happy to see that though we are from very different parts of the world and cultures, we relate on so many levels and on so many issues. For example, if Trish and I were in the same country, or in the same newsroom, we would definitely be friends. I can relate with her on a lot of levels. Regarding what she was saying earlier, it's clear that there's no way out. Going digital, going social is the only way for broadcasting. And sure, you have to do journalism the old-fashioned way and do your storytelling the way, be unbiased, be accountable, be very reliable in what you do. But if you do it and then you don't get it promoted, it's a pity because it reaches a few people and the impact is very low. So looking at my organization, looking of what's happening around the world, looking at Ukraine, a neighboring country to Romania, looking at what's happening in the US, January 6th and other big events you've had recently, everything was online. We had the chance to feel it and live it the moment it happened. So this is what people are looking for, being live, being in real time and feeling the emotion when things are happening. So I hope the organization I work for really understands that and really adapts to the world we live in.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity that I've given or I'm given. And because of the network, I'm not explaining myself very well. And my name is Zelalem Ganamo from Ethiopia, which is, I'm working for the most diversified media organization, very diversified, very culture-based media organization, which broadcasts about 48 local languages. And I am 14 years working experience in this media organization, from starting to the reporter to the content manager. And now I'm a content manager and deputy CEO and the content manager of my organization, South Radio and Television Agency. For brief explanation of myself. And when I come to the question, I think now the social media is impacting in different ways, spreading different distorted contents and disinformation and misinformation. Especially these two things are very important in using these social media outlets. But my concern is that managing social media outlets are very difficult in this globalized world, because the content that this spread is mostly affect and dehumanize the human society, especially in accountability or misuse of or spreading different messages are also very difficult. But my focus is that we should have to use the mainstream medias, such as television, radio, and print, and so on and so forth, because fact verification is very important, and there is also the accountability of the transmitters or the broadcasters. But the social media can be easily susceptible for distortion and for misuse of any content that harms the society. So my concern is it's better to focus on those traditional media outlets than the social media outlets. Okay, because nobody can take the accountability, okay? The responsibility of any spreading messages, okay? So especially those broadcasters of the mainstream medias like television, radio, and so on and so forth, have the accountability and the responsibility for what they are spreading, okay? For what they are transmitting. So it is better to focus on these issues, because it is not manageable, okay? Social media outlets and the information that they give is not manageable, okay? Anybody cannot take the accountability and the responsibility for what has been or spreading or the content is, okay? So my concern in the future should given the attention for those social media, for those mainstream media outlets, especially for television, radio, and print media. And even they have great power over those social media outlets, okay? Because society believes the content that they produce and that they transmit is true or very verified over the others, okay, than the others. So my concern is this. I'm sorry for my language. I think.
Zelalem, can you tell us, are there any podcasts in your part of Ethiopia? Do you work with podcasts, or do you know of some?
Sorry, will you come again, please?
Do you know if there are any podcasts in your area of Ethiopia?
Podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, it is new for my country. We are experiencing and practicing podcast is very new agenda and issue, especially in Ethiopia media industry. Okay, it's now lately being introduced. Okay, and some journalists and the media owners are just trying to use it currently, but it is not something very experienced, and it's a new issue in general. Okay.
Thank you.
So this has been an absolutely wonderful conversation, and we've learned so much. We are eternally grateful for you sharing your perspectives and your time on this Saturday with us. We want to wish you a great rest of your visit. And again, thank you for joining us on our episode here today. As always, for the resources from this episode, go to our website, socialworkersbreakroom.com, and make sure to connect to us on Instagram, Facebook, and email us at info@socialworkersbreakroom. Until next time.